when it's being used with a rebreathing system. A rebreathing system. So in order to start the leak test, make sure that you've hooked the machine up correctly for a rebreathing system. That you have the hoses connected nice and tightly. That you have a reservoir bag attached. That you have a scavenge hose hooked up to the scavenger. And that initially the pop-off valve is open. And you want to make sure that the oxygen tank is turned on. So I'm using the key to turn on the oxygen tank. Now what we're trying to do is make sure that there's no leaks in the system. So once we have the rebreathing system hooked up correctly, the first thing that we're going to do is occlude the end of the rebreathing hose. This normally is where the endotracheal tube would go, but we want to make sure that there's no leaks in the machine, so we occlude the end of it. The way that you can occlude the end of it is either using the palm of your hand and putting the palm of your hand over the end of the hose, or you can use a rebreathing bag. Try to use a very small one so that we don't waste any oxygen, but you can also attach a rebreathing bag to the end of the hose. The next thing that you want to do is close the pop-off valve. Just want to close the pop-off valve. Make sure it's nice and tight. You just want to close that. So you have your oxygen tank on, pop-off valve closed, the end of the rebreathing hose is occluded. The next thing you want to do is you're going to turn the flow meter up pretty high, up around between 3 and 5. The idea is that you turn the flow meter on, and at the same time, you're going to look at the pressure manometer. When the pressure manometer reaches 20 centimeters of water, turn the flow meter off. So let's look at this. We're going to turn the flow meter on. We're going to turn the flow meter on, and as you can see, pressure is beginning to build up in the system. Is it at 20 now? When it gets to 20, we're going to turn it off. Okay, let's say that was at 20 and we turned it off at 20, turning the flow meter off. What we want to do is watch the pressure manometer and make sure it holds pressure at 20 for at least 20 seconds. If it can hold pressure in the system for at least 20 seconds, then we know there's no leak. And our leak test is complete. Now, if there's a leak somewhere, for example, let's say I did not have a rebreathing bag attached, or let's say the rebreathing bag was loosely attached. As you can see, the pressure will begin to leak out and the pressure manometer goes down to 0 or it starts to reduce. That's how you know there's a leak, and it should trigger you to check all your connections, make sure everything is tight, and then repeat the test. So we're making sure our rebreathing bag is tight, and we're going to turn the flow meter on again. Maybe we don't have to turn it all the way up to 5. You can turn it up to 3, and then you wait for the pressure to build up in the system to 20 centimeters of water. So when that gets to 20, I'm going to turn the flow meter off. You can turn the flow meter up, or you can even press the oxygen flush valve to put more oxygen in there. And then when it gets to 20, we're going to turn it off. We're going to turn it off, and it should hold pressure at 20 centimeters of water for 20 seconds. Count to 20, as long as it holds. Now, if it drops 1 centimeter of water or so, like it goes to 19, that's okay. But if it significantly drops, it goes to 15 or 10, then you have a pretty significant leak. We just have to recheck all the connections. Sometimes it's the hose that has a hole in it. Sometimes these bags have a hole in them, and you can just change those. That's how to do a leak test with a rebreathing system. When you're done with the test, open the pop-off valve, because remember, it needs to be in the open position, ready for your patient. So when you're done with the test, open the pop-off valve, remove the bag if you have a bag on the ends, and you can squeeze all the air out. And if you're totally done, you would turn the oxygen tank off. Okay, that's the leak test on the rebreathing.